Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. I'm Dr. Nurlisa Zaharan from the Department of Pharmacology, and I'll be the MC for this evening session. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all professors and lecturers from the Faculty of Medicine, the speakers, Dr. Fan Chow of the FOM Research Carnival at the TJ Danaraj Auditorium, and also a warm welcome to those who joined this session online via YouTube. The Department of Pharmacology. Okay. The session this afternoon is the 7th session of the FOM Research Carnival and is titled UM-Cares Community Engagement. This session fits into the Research Carnival puzzle, highlighting how research at the faculty benefits the community. The university affects the community in many ways, besides academically, by improving the quality of living, reducing disparities, and bringing about a general positive change to the community. UM-Cares stands for the University Malaya Community Engagement Center. The community engagement refers to how closely UM-Cares work with society through community engagement projects, strategic targeting of demographic groups within the community, and strongly involving community members in their chosen projects. Community engagement projects also contributes to the MyRA, Malaysia Research Assessment. There are many projects and members of the FOM who have benefited from the UM-Cares. Indeed, the current director of the UM-Cares is Associate Professor Dr. Amir Sadiq from FOM. For this session, we will have 2 talks by 2 groups of researchers who will discuss their projects under the umbrella of UM-Cares. Each talk will be followed by a short Q&A session. Our session this evening should be enjoyable, as the first session will touch on food plant, which is mushroom, while the second is on gaming. So the first session today is titled Mushroom, to eat or not to eat. And please let me briefly introduce the speakers. Dr. Fan Chow is a senior lecturer at the Department of Pharmaceutical Life Sciences, Faculty of Pharmacy, and is also currently heading the Clinical Investigation Center, CIC, at UMMC. He is a trained microbiologist and now works on natural products from mushrooms, especially on their medicinal use. He is a 2 times UM-Cares grant recipient on the awareness of mushroom poisoning. Associate Professor Dr. Tan Yishin is a mycologist and is now heading the Mushroom Research Center at UM. She is the course coordinator for the Biotechnology Bioscience BSc program. Dr. Tan works on mushroom breeding and cultivation, fungal diversity and systematics, as well as poisonous mushroom. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite the speakers for the first session.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa, for the introduction, and welcome all of you for these sessions. So without further ado, I would like to go on with today's topic, which is a questions posted to you. And in fact, everyone will be asking about mushrooms, whether or not it is to eat or not to eat. So hopefully at the end of the session, you will get an idea what mushrooms can be eaten and what cannot be eaten. And I'm Dr. Pan Chow. Okay, and along with me, we have Dr. Tan Yishin later on. So, to give you an overview of this 1 hour or so talk is that, first of all, I will go and brief about our UM-Cares project, because thanks to UM-Cares, we have this invitation to come and share with you our UM-Cares project. Secondly, I will actually talk on the good mushrooms. What are the good mushrooms? What do they do to us? And what defines the goodness in them? And third, the not-so-good mushrooms will be briefed by Associate Professor Dr. Tan Yishin. And at the very end, we will have quiz time. So to all the participants, please pay attention. We will have a pop quiz session after that, and then we will give out freebies and prizes for all the high achievers later on. Okay, so the UM-Cares project. So this is the logo of UM-Cares. I really like UM-Cares, the logo. Right? It is about public awareness. It is about public engagement. So the problem that arises that gives about the project is that there is actually no proper mushroom poisoning surveillance system in Malaysia by the public health sector in Malaysia, including Sabah and Sarawak. Why is that So because mushroom poisoning has been taken very lightly because it is not really a death and life matters yet until we had a recent case back in 2017 in Hospital KL whereby a family of 4 actually, you can see this is a pregnant woman, a son and also the father has been hospitalized and admitted in ICU because of mushroom poisoning. And then we realized that there is a lack of knowledge transfer from the mycologist. So if you wonder what is mycologist, it's actually scientists that study fungi, and the field of fungi is called mycology. So scientists studies mycologists. There's a lack of knowledge transfer from mycologists to public health sector, and there's a lack of knowledge transfer from mycologists to emergency doctors on how to better manage mushroom poisoning. So the phase 1 project that we have gotten from Cares is that we had a knowledge transfer mechanism from the lab to hospital to teach mushroom poisoning management and gastroenteritis. So we wanted to highlight to the public and also to the Ministry of Health is that mushroom poisoning should be not considered a normal food poisoning, right? Because mushrooms, according to the ICD-10 classification, it should come under different coding and not be taken lightly as normal food poisoning. And then the phase 2 studies is on dissemination and implementation research in mushroom poisoning. We continue education through train-the-trainer approach to give to the wider range of awareness among the public health officers. So mostly in Malaysia, the culprit of mushroom poisoning is these mushrooms. So for those audience who is with us today, you will have the privilege to see the mushrooms live in your eyes. We have bring some specimen, and Dr. Tan will brief about the mushrooms later on. All right, so this is our approach. Okay, thanks to Cares, we will manage to implement this approach. So basically, it's a triage approach whereby mycologists and doctors and public health sectors, we actually work hand in hand. So we hold hands together to form a mushroom poisoning network between the 3 sectors. So for the phase 1 study, which is from 2017 and still ongoing, is that we will have regular training to emergency doctor, because usually mushroom poisoning, so they will send to ED, emergency department. So we train the emergency physician on how to better manage mushroom poisoning according to symptom and most importantly, according to the mushroom species. So you have to know the species in order to have a better treatment. So next, for the phase 2 studies, so we actually extend the knowledge transfer to the public health officers because we feel that the public health officers is very important, especially the environmental health officers, because they are the one who will go and collect the mushroom in the wild at the site where the patient actually collected the mushroom. They will go back to the mushroom and collect the mushrooms and send back to the mycologist for proper identification. So these are the pictures of our Cares project. So we had a mushroom poisoning workshop, the first of its kind in actually Hospital KL. Right, so we had a forum on that. And also we had our various activities. So the activities is basically, we coin it as Know Your Mushrooms workshop, so that you can learn about the good and the bad of the mushrooms, right? And then we had some puzzle activities whereby we also bring along the puzzle activities here, right? So we also feel that we are not going to bring out awareness to the outsiders, but how about the in-house people? So we had a very kind of rather fun mushroom foraging in our own Rimba Ilmu back in 2019. So the participants, most of them are public health officers. They joined us to go to Rimba Ilmu to collect the mushrooms that are found in the Rimba Ilmu. So it is actually quite fun, and hopefully we will have another session so that fellow community can join us to go to the Rimba Ilmu to collect mushrooms. So we had a very small activity on the identification of the mushrooms so that the participants can draw the mushrooms and appreciate the diversity of the mushrooms that is actually in our community. So we also extend our footprint to Sabah. Right, we went to UMS. The crowd is surprisingly very, very well because Dr. Jaya, which is our collaborator there, has been keep on having this mushroom poisoning workshop every year. So in terms of sustainability, I can proudly say to UM Cares people now is that the sustainability of the project is good because up to now we still the mushroom poisoning workshop is still ongoing even the project stops. So it's quite fun that everybody dress up properly to go and collect mushrooms and go for a small adventure outside in the wood. And then we bring back the samples and they try to study the samples. So we also go to Sarawak, all right? So everybody was actually having fun, and these are the mushrooms that they collected, right? So mostly they are non-poisonous, right? But it's okay. You just collect it, then you try to draw, this is the time where you start to take your color pencils and do some coloring and drawing. And then the output of the project is that we come up with a basic one-day mycology training module that we have devised so that it can be applicable and scalable to all levels. Like it can be to the doctors, it can be to the kindergarten students and school children. So this particular module that we can actually apply, and it is highly feasible and repeatability is very high, all right? And the overall impact is that we have come up with the skeleton of the management of the mushroom poisoning. If let's say there is a mushroom poisoning notification from the doctor, we will, the public health officer will collect the mushroom on site, quickly send us to UM. Quickly send to UM because Mushroom Research Center, we had a facility to identify and ID the mushrooms. So in 24 hours, keep the mushroom in pristine condition, send to us, ID the mushroom ID sent to doctor for proper treatment. Okay, so that is the output, that an overall impact that we have in the mushroom poisoning management in Malaysia overall. So we also do talks like this, telling the students and the publics about mushrooms. Mushroom is not plant. Mushroom is even closer to human genetically. And then this is in PetroScience, so we actually went to PetroScience to teach the kids about mushrooms. This is in the KL Expo. And then we also have pocket talks in Pusat Sains Negara, and also students that come to UM to learn about mushrooms. Okay, and for the media appearance, UM Cares has been doing a lot with CCO to help us to spread the news about mushroom poisoning in TV1, TV9, and even Bernama. And also we have interviews from all sorts of media. Like for example, you can see Latte Doctor urus keracunan kulat, because only UM, I would say, had the expertise in mushroom poisoning management actually. And UM bantu Dr. Kendali Kesan Makanan Cendawan Beracun. And for the magazine, we also wrote something like, there is a darker side to mushrooms, and something like that, okay? So, not all mushrooms are bad. Sometimes we nod to the mushrooms. A nod to mushroom meaning that we say yes to the mushrooms. In what occasion we say yes to the mushrooms? Maybe I just want to show you, this is how mushroom is being cultivated, and this is how we grow mushroom. We don't plant mushrooms. No, we don't plant mushroom in the sense that we plant from the soil, from the garden plot and things like that. We actually cultivate mushrooms. This is in the mushroom bag, right? So this is the mushroom bag. And these are the mushrooms, and this is what we call the fruiting body, the fruiting bodies of the mushrooms. So in a way, it is a fruit, but it's also a sexual organ for the mushrooms, for sexual reproduction. Yeah. So because the spores are underneath the mushrooms. And then you can see here what is inside the mushroom bag is actually the substrate. And the important thing about the substrate is that it is made out of lignocellulosic waste. So the lignocellulosic waste is something that is very woody. Bear in mind that mushrooms are wood decomposer. They decompose wood. That's why when you drive along the road, you can see dead trees, you can see mushrooms. So these are the rubber sawdust. Malaysia is rich in rubber sawdust. Paddy straw, we are agricultural rich countries. We have paddy straw, oil palm, lignocellulose waste. So these are the substrates, and the whitish color here is actually the mycelium. The mycelium will grow, and the fruiting body is actually a mass of a branching mycelium that give rise to fruiting body. Okay, that is the basic concept. So I will come to that later. So a nod to mushrooms. I'm just wondering who likes to eat mushrooms over here. Yeah. Thank you. So a vegetarian, huh? So not vegetarian, but you like to eat mushroom. That is quite common. So may I ask, do you know this kind of mushroom? Can you tell us the name of the mushrooms? Yes. Okay, that's very good. This is oyster mushrooms? No. Yeah. Maybe we have a prize for you later on, Dr. Jasmine. So this is oyster mushroom. It's a very humble looking mushrooms. You can find it in Medic Cafe, Nasi Goreng Cendawan. This is the Nasi Goreng Cendawan, the cendawan that is being fried together with your rice. And we call it Pirotus pulmonarius, Cendawan Tiram Kelabu. And the research team from we do this research together with Department of Anatomy, and we found that it is very good for metabolic syndrome, right? Has anti-obesity syndromes, right? Because of the beta-glucan that is present in the mushrooms. So I won't go into details on that. How about this? Button mushrooms, very good. So this is button mushrooms. We call it Agaricus bisporus. Button mushrooms, white variety, brown variety, and portobello. Portobello is actually also button mushrooms. It's just that it is the older version of this. So this is young stage. We harvest this at young stage. This one is that we harvest it at a much later stage, right? So they become enlarged and they become darker because of the tyrosine enzyme. This is what we call mushroom browning, and then you get the portobello mushrooms. This is portobello mushrooms. Very popular among here and also in the Western countries because it is in your mushroom soup, it's in your pizza and whatnot. Okay? Yeah, how about this? Oh, this is not enoki. Enoki is white. This is hericium, correct. Bingo. This is hericium. So this is Hericium erinaceus, is what we call monkey head mushrooms. So it does look like a monkey head, kepala kera. It looks like a kepala kera, provided the monkey is white color the snow monkey in Japan. The snow monkey in Japan, so it looks like dia macam berbulu, alright? It has hairs, so it looks like a monkey head. And in Malaysia, we are quite sensitive about giving names to binatang. So kita tukar nama dia kepada cendawan bunga kobis. Instead of kepala kera, bunga kobis sounds nicer, right? It does look like a cauliflower, right? So this is getting more popular now because Malaysian is growing it in temperate condition, all right? So it's getting very common, especially you go to Jaya Grocer. You can find it in Jaya Grocer, monkey head mushrooms. In Malaysia, in the Department of Anatomy and Faculty of Pharmacy, we do a lot of these mushrooms, especially for their neuronal health. So it is actually enhance your brain activity because of the herinosine and erinacine compound in the mushrooms. Okay, but it's too scientific, so I won't go too much detail about this. How about this? Yeah. This is lingzi. Lingzi is also mushrooms. So a lot of people didn't realize that lingzi or Gaudoderma lucidum is a mushroom. It is not fleshy. It is very woody, but it is a mushroom. It's just that the composition of it and the texture of it is different. All right. So, but this is not culinary. Dia tak boleh dimasak. It's non-culinary, but it is edible. It's just that the way you prepare it, you have to be different lah. So usually we make into a powder, we double boil it, and then we drink the water out of it, something like that. You cannot cook it. So how about this? Yes, this is tiger milk mushrooms, made popular by also. Molecular medicine group and Prof. Tan Chong Seng actually made this very popular because this is what we call a Malaysia treasure, because the Tun Dr. Mahathir once tell the press that this is the one that cure his coughing problems. So Tun Dr. Mahathir actually made this very famous. All right, so this is tiger milk mushroom, Lichnosus rhinoceratis. Okay. So maybe I spend a little bit more time on this. Why I told you mushrooms is a good thing, because it actually completes the circular economy. So you can see here, this is in circular form. Mushroom cultivation is the best agent to explain a circular economy. Why it is circular economy? So look at here, mushroom cultivation. Like what I say, mushrooms is being grown on the mushroom bag, right? So it is actually answers to the different SDG. So it is actually the food, the fruiting bodies, the mushrooms that is being cultivated can be served as a food that combat hunger, and also it is good for health and well-being. So it answers to SDG number 3, good health and well-being. And then conservation and domestication of the mushroom from the wild is actually preserving life on land. So the mushroom substrate, like what I said before, they are the lignocellulosic waste, lignocellulosic bio-waste from the paddy straw, oil palm farm, rubber tree. All the waste, we don't throw it, we don't burn it, we make it into mushroom substrate, we grow mushrooms. The mushroom, then the spent mushroom substrates. So after we harvest the mushrooms, the substrates, we don't throw it away. The spent mushroom compost, the substrates can be used as an animal feed. So the whole life cycle of the substrate, we actually use it for a lot of things. Then it can be used for biochar, biofuel, energy production, and also recovery of enzymes. The spent mushroom substrate, after mushroom is being harvested, can make into compost and feed back into agriculture. So agriculture, we can actually make it as a fertilizer to grow paddy straw, right? Agriculture and horticulture. So the paddy straw, after we get the rice out of it, the paddy straw, the paddy husk goes back to the lignocellulosic biomass, grow mushrooms. So it's a complete loop of circular economy. And the agricultural and horticultural and also become animal feed. Animal feed, the dung, can also be incorporated into mushroom substrate together form mushrooms. And look at this, there will be a balance of carbon dioxide and heat. So there will be a good reservoir for carbon dioxide absorption and the balance of oxygen, humidity, and cooling of the earth that give rise to climate action, which is SDG number 13. And proper management of lignocellulosic biomass is actually giving rise to sustainable cities and communities. So this is what we call from waste to wealth. From waste to wealth, okay? So last slides about our scientific work from the Faculty of Pharmacy and Department and Faculty of Medicine. We have published a lot of work on culinary and medicinal mushrooms, especially on the neuroactive components. And we have published a book chapter on it, and also how medicinal mushrooms has an effect on neuroinflammatory, particular reference to Alzheimer's disease, and also the therapeutic uses. And also, we also coined edible and medicinal mushroom as an emerging brand food for the mitigation of neurodegenerative diseases. And hopefully more and more clinical trials and clinical research will be done on these mushrooms. All right, so that's all for my talk. I will pass the mic to Dr. Tan. Thank you.
All right, now the second part of it, we are talking about something which is not so good, is on the poisonous mushrooms. All right. Mushrooms do have, mushrooms or fungi, they do have the toxins. So if most of you will be knowing on the mycotoxin, which is they actually associate with something together when you ingest it with the food. All right, but mushroom is also contain the toxin, but it's along that you're poisoned by the mushroom itself. All right, so and then in the food industries, a lot of people actually were talking about this on the mycotoxins, which is associated with the food commodities. So, looking at these pictures, is it looks yummy to you? Why not? There's a snail there. There's a snail there. Is it looks yummy to you? Well, some people might think different. So, mushroom toxins. Later, I will tell you whether the mushroom is edible or non-edible. All right, in the news classification, on the clinical classification, they're actually saying that the mushrooms actually belongs to a different type of toxin associated with a different mushroom species, and they categorize them into a different symptoms. All right. So mainly there will be most of the toxin. Maybe some of you in the faculty of medicine you will know on the amatoxins because it's in your textbooks. But nowadays there's more and more toxins that which we haven't able to categorize them in those mushrooms. Most of the medical doctors, they will say they only know the amanita, they only know the amatoxins. But they actually do have others which is unknown or unusual type of amino acids, but which actually cause death, all right, when people consuming them. So something about the facts on the mushroom toxins. Mushroom toxin is very quite thermostable. So it will be stable no matter like you go for subjecting to all the cooking methods, boiling, drying, it won't destroy their toxin structures. It will still remain there. All right. Different poisonous mushrooms, they have a different type of the toxins. Different type here means like different genus, different species. And the symptoms may be varied by a species, and some will be occurring maybe when after you consume it 30 minutes up to 31 days. Because some of those toxin is not on like gastrointestinal irritants, which you can immediately react on it. Some toxin, they were deposited on your liver or on your kidney, which is you can find it after 31 days or 20 days. Nobody will suspecting they get toxin after they're consuming the mushrooms. So this is a question I always get. How many poisonous mushrooms are there? Before I tell you how many of it, maybe we do some statistic. All right, in the worldwide or the mycobacterial statistic, there are about recorded about 380,000 of the species. And a lot of scientists, they actually estimated there are more fungi species, up to like 13.2 million. And in Malaysia itself, we actually found almost like 5,000 species. And contributing to these World Banks, we only about less than 0.6%. And so far that we have been known on the poisonous mushrooms in Malaysia is about less than 25 species. All right, what I would like to highlight here is tropical Asia. They always have, everyone will know that tropical Asia, we have very high in the plant diversity. And high plant diversity means that there's a high diversity of all those like the fungi species as well. And most of it are endemic, especially only in tropical Asia. And out of that, 1% is poisonous. So what actually causing the poisoning? Most of it because of misidentifications. Most of the patients, when they're consuming on the poisonous mushroom, they will say, I ate this before. I collected it before. But I don't know why this round I get poisons. I always collected at the same place. I always buy from these persons. So those are the things that people will actually get poisons. And most of these edible wild mushrooms is actually can grow just next to the poisonous mushrooms. We do have those wild mushroom which is edible. Let me show you some of the examples. So some of this is actually will be consuming by our indigenous communities. And some of it, which is so common, this we call termitomyces or cendawan busuk. And this is what people actually will be confusing with the poisonous mushrooms. Because this termite mushroom, they have the word termite, means that they already grow together with the termites. When there is a termite mass, there will be a possibility that the termitomyces will be growing on. And then there are some others, Lantinus species, which is, we can find this actually selling at the Sabah and Sarawak Pasar Tani. So they do consume it, all right, as the edible one mushrooms. And the other one, we do have like the jelly mushrooms, the Pyrotigentus mushrooms. And this one is actually growing in the oil palm plantations, which they ate at the 8th stage. And then most of people will know about this Cendawan Kuko, which is at the rubber tree plantation there. You will always find this. And in Sabah Sarawak, they're actually consuming this hygrocybe and also Clevetia, which is quite common for them, and you can find it in the markets as well. All right, so those are the edibles one. Now, what I want to tell you on this, what they have reported on the poisonous mushrooms. I think in last year, Dr. Pan have been doing one of the bibliometrics analysis on, in the worldwide itself, how many actually poisonous mushrooms have been frequently reported. All right, as you can see, the top here is mainly the Amanita. So you can see, even though in the top 14 is all about the Amanita that have been reported. And all this reported is actually in the Europe country, in the temperate country, but not really on the Asia. This is the one I always can get in the north part of Thailand. They were just collected in the wild and sell it. And you can see that they're actually selling each plate of it. And I'm not sure whether you're able to see that there is a different color in each plate. All right, because for them, they will know, okay, yeah, this look like can eat. They will just collect it, and then they just sell it in the plate like this. In Thailand itself, there will be a reported case of like 2,000 cases per year. And there actually, the mortality is very high as well. And you can see, comparing during the 10-year period of the surveillance, they have like 1,500 patients per year compared to the Japan, Switzerland, Hong Kong, and Korea. So eating wild mushroom is very common in Thailand. And these are those common poisonous mushrooms that actually reported, and some of it is actually edibles. Like for example, like some of it they will say this is more on the neurotoxin, all right, this is on the edible and the GI irritants. All right, how about in Malaysia? We do have this poisonous, that what mushroom research centers, we have been receiving all those poisonous mushrooms and we do the identifications. So from 2015 until now, we actually received quite a numbers of poisonous mushrooms. And as you can see that most of it is actually come from the species and of what they call the Corophyllum molybdans. And so almost every year, we get the poisoning cases. Almost every year, we receive the samples. Just yesterday, I received another poisoning cases. You have the fresh mushroom here because it's just sent to me yesterday. And it's also a Corophyllum. So why people actually misidentified them? And you can see that even during the almost like 7 years, we also get some of those Amanita species. All right? And some of it might be a new records that we never know they are actually poisonous until that some people consume it and send to us. Then I know, oh, it's poisonous. All right, so the issue is like most of these mushrooms actually looks similar, but they are different. All right, look at this. Which one? All right, that is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one you think is tempting? It looks delicious to you? Which one you will pick and cook, put in your soup? Which one is the ugliest one? The definition of ugliest. Lower right. Which one? Left, right? This one. This one you will pick up and cook. You will cook the orange one. Anyone try? Top one here. Right, okay. All will die except you. All will not die, poisons. you will go to the emergency doctor, except you. Yes, this Jasmine, Dr. Jasmine. This is the only the edible one. All this is actually a clinical samples that I received. So, sorry. The one which we most commonly be misidentified is actually on this species, Corophyllum and the termite mushrooms. When they are young stage, they look quite similar. And you can see that there are almost 30 species of these termitomycetes and 20 are edibles. And you can see, but when they're growing into the mature, the characteristics are so different. And this is where, when people are collecting it, and there will be a possibility as well, this mushroom will grow together with this mushroom in the same site, same place. If you are not able to identify them, you will pick it up, collecting all and cook it. So that is how the poisoning starts. So why we almost like each year during like a September, October's time, I will always receive the call and get the samples. And about 60% of the samples is actually identified as the Corophyllums. All right. So this is the species why they have this name, because you know that the plant produces chlorophyll, green color, right? So the chlorophyll is because of the green, like the green that resembles on the green leaf. So mycologists, they give them the names because they do have this characteristic. When they are getting mature, the bottom here is getting green colors. All right. So, and you can do the spore print, you can see this is in the green colors. But in the young stage itself, I think later on you can see the sample, the young stage itself, you really doesn't really able to see the green colors. They only develops on the green colors when they're getting mature, because that is the time when they're doing on the sexual reproductions. All right, how about this? All these are actually termitomycetes. But will you collect it all? It looks delicious. People will know who have been eating this before, they'll definitely collected it. It tastes different. But if you look closely, there are poisonous mushrooms there. If you are not able to identify them and you collecting them and you cook them together, you will get poisons as well. All right. So another one. Everyone know these mushrooms? The straw mushrooms? You cook it, right? All right, but there is a wild one. It looks exactly like this. You can see. Both also 8 stage. And they're all having the same shapes like this. But when they grow older, when they open up, it looks so different. This is edible. This is poisonous. So if you collected at this stage, emergency doctor lah. All right, so this is the one in Thailand. Thailand, they have come up with this poster, which I think is very good because in Thailand itself, they're actually consuming Amanita. All right, there's some edible Amanita there. And this is the one which is, one is edible, one is poisonous. But you can see that from the morphology, it looks the same, both like a white color. Both have the same stage of the growing stage. All right, but only those you can very recognizing them, you can see that they are actually a different species. All right, another one which commonly been misidentified is this one. I think Dr. Pan just now have been showing on the yummy, the oyster mushrooms. They do have some very similar in the wild. It's called the Purosybella, the angel's wing. Really become an angel. If you're eating, you become an angel. Well, but yes, so that's why they come up with these names. All right, but they have these common features, right? They all look very similar. When I first time, as a student, when I first time go to the jungle, I do see this. I really thought this is the oyster mushrooms. But luckily I didn't pick it up and eat lah. But there was a cases before in Sabah and Sarawak, there I can't remember where, but they do collect it and they cook with the Maggi mee. It's one of the tour guides that actually bring the people go into the forest, and then he saw it and then he just cook it and then all get poisons. So when the samples sent to us, it's actually, luckily they didn't become angels lah. Nasib baik lah. All right, so this is the one of the collections of the poisonous mushrooms that we are documented up to now. All right, so you can see that the poisonous mushroom people actually not only eating those, which some people will say this is the innocent, but some colorful one, they also thought they are going to eat it. All right, and this is the one which is common, in 2019, they do have a very serious poisoning cases, which is in Sabah. And this mushroom is actually grow just next to the termite mouth. So the patient is actually, they collected all of it, and this one is actually, they have these neurotoxic compounds. So which is, well, be dangerous. And my collaborator in Sabah, mycologist as well, Dr. Jaya, he's actually trying to do on this compounds, metabolites profiling, and see what kind of neurotoxic compound. This is a new records people actually eating on the poisonous mushrooms. There have never been recorded that people consuming this. All right, so about the myth. I think this is the one something I want to really telling people. Most of the people were telling me cooking for a long time, cooking for 3 times, 4 times, you can start eating the wild mushroom. No, because if you still remember, the mushroom toxin is thermostables. All right. Some were saying that if you're using the silver and onion, when you touch it, it turns black. When you fly with them, it turns black. You poison the mushroom. No. This is never happens. Toxic mushroom will smell and taste horrible. No. You can smell the poisonous mushroom. It smells good as well to me. And okay, back to the first one, the photo I show you. Insects and animals can tell which mushrooms are poisonous and avoid them. No. What the insects, what the insect animals eating not doesn't mean you can eat it. All right. So another one, if you really, really want to eat the wild mushrooms, and make sure that you know what you're picking, and if you really want to eat it, eat a small amount, just in case you get poisoning, at least that the doctors can send to us and ask us to help to identify it. All right. Use a multiple source, but then because we are in the tropical country, there will be a difficulties for you to find a reliable source, what you can eat. All right. So, and most of the source that you can get is actually the species from the Europes or from the temperate countries. All right. We are trying to build up the database now, so at least like people will be knowing what kind of mushroom they're eating. All right. Don't pick or consuming them until you're really sure what is actually they are. Because some of these mushrooms, they were actually collected at the roadside there. And we will not know whether they will get poisons contaminated by the herbicides or the pesticides. All right. And if you really have the suspecting you are eating on the poisonous mushrooms, don't delay, go to the hospitals. All right. Come to me, I can't cure you. Go to the emergency, please. All right. The emergency doctors now, they have been trained to send us the photo. We can do the identifications very fast and tell the doctor if this is need a concerns. This need follow-ups. All right. If these mushrooms, for example, if they are consuming on the Amanita species. All right. As a summary, many poisonous mushrooms, especially in Asia, there might be a new one or really on the endemic to the Asia. Like what we're finding here, you're not finding there. Poisonous mushroom, you can find it here, might not be finding in the temperate country or the Europes. All right. There will be many unknown toxins that, like for example, is that I've been showing you that in Asia. All right. All those have been profiled on the toxin is based on the species that have been found in the temperate country, but not on the tropical Asia. All right. And then the intensity of the poisoning is actually different from peoples to peoples. from children to the adult or elderly, it will be different, and due to their age as well, and also the amount that they consume. All right. And no medicine so far. The medical doctors, they only can treat on the symptoms, but not only on the toxins. And there is no database now. So hopefully one day we will actually can able to do on this, having a database for the poisonous mushrooms. All right, so this is very important. Never eat the mushrooms unless you are certain that it's safe. If not, that could be your last meal. All right, so mushroom, all are edible, but some only once. Right, with that, thank you.
We started 15 minutes late, so is that okay?
So, as promised, we will do the quiz, just only 5 questions. And also, you can actually move around in the hall. You can come and look at the specimens that we brought, actually. Okay, let me just...
While we are waiting, I have a question from the YouTube. What are symptoms of mushroom poisoning? Thanks.
The mushroom symptoms can be starting from like gastro irritants up to like neurotoxins, and some of on the hepatotoxin. So it depending on what kind of mushroom species they are consuming. Yeah. Any other questions from the floor? Yes.
I have a few. You are providing like in the identifications of mushrooms to determine what are the top.
We didn't go up to the toxin level. We identified on the species. So far, no, it's still free for Ministry of Health.
What's your business direction for? I think
Oh, I
this is
never go for thinking of the business. Because yeah. I think in Europe they do have like a mycologist associated with the hospital. If I remember correctly, that there's one of the researcher from Italy that actually have to sit on the exams and then to be based in the hospital for this mushroom poisoning cases. Yeah, but at the moment now, no. Normally they will, Ministry of Health, they will just send the samples and we will do the identifications. Yeah, and we do have the communication platform like a WhatsApp. So immediately they will send us the photos, then we can tell, okay, fine, this is a very neurotoxic mushrooms. Please be alert, the doctor have to follow up, all these things. That's a good question, but then there will be another issue because mushroom itself, they actually will be changing their morphology a little bit in the environment. So as you can see that later, if you can have a chance to see the poisonous mushrooms here, one in the young stage and one is the mature stage, they look so different. They maybe look so different to you, but that will be a challenging, especially when we do want to do on the imaging. We did want to try on the scanning on this imaging, but because of the environmental factors. Yeah, the environmental factors, because mushrooms is a decomposer, they're actually very easy to be affected by the environmental factors like the humidities, all these, they're actually affecting their growth. And they change their characteristics.
Okay.
Yeah, but the genes is the same. So far, not yet. Potentially. Worldwide, I think what you can get is mainly on the normals, the apps like this, the one on identifying on the plants, and then the one on the, but I tried before, but not really applicable to tropicals.
All right. Commercialize your AI. All right.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Tan. That
Yes.
was awesome. Angel. Angel mushroom. Okay. So
Now
I
you
guess-
remember. Yes, good. That's what we
Okay.
hope.
Just following up on Dr. Jasmine's question. That means, is it, can I understand that you look at the mushroom, you will know and immediately identify what it is?
See the photos, I can tell you the genus, but I cannot really confirm the species until I really get the samples.
So how do you identify your samples? What tools do you use?
We use, 20 years of experience. I cannot in 5 minutes, but it based on those characteristics, like the whole fruiting body characteristic, their structures, their texture, their color, their gills, all this lah.
Understand. One, just now you did say even smell it smells good. So won't they release spores? Will you get affected?
Well, you won't be smell like very long. So, well, smelling, many people actually smell like, we taxonomists, we actually do this as one of the characteristics. Because some of these wild mushroom, they will have a very different smell. So some of the mushroom, because based on the smell, they actually can differentiate them into a different genus. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
The quiz is actually ready. So what you can do is that you can go to, you can take your device and then type joinmyquiz.com and then you can enter the game code 686202. I'm not sure the online people can join or not. Because if let's say the online participants, you join and you got the prize, you have to PM me lah to get the prize. You have to PM Tepi, so that I can give you the prize. We have about 10. Basically, yeah, we have 5. We will select 5 books, which is actually authored by myself. And Dr. Tan and Prof. Vicky is a book on mushrooms in Malaysia. That is the price, actually. So we have 4, 6, 7. We have 7 people here already. Yeah, we'll wait until 10. It's only 5 questions only. It's very easy. And you, oh yeah, we have 11 people. Nice. Perhaps we can start, let's start, Okay. Okay, we have 12 people. Not bad. So Amanita, TML, Amanita, Fig, Angel Swing, PD. Some confused face. Shafiq, Dinisha, Jay, Angel Wing, Sarah, and Selina. Nice. Okay. Okay, I start the quiz already. It's instructor based. So can you know this? This mushroom is also called the monkey head mushroom. So you have to look at the diagram on your device to answer these questions. So you are only given 30 seconds. So 5 seconds go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, time is up. So this is actually Hericium erinaceus, right? So congratulations, Angel Wing, you are the first in the leading board. Nice. Okay, very good. 13 of you got it right. Okay, so move on to our second questions. So mushroom cultivation is considered the best example of what kind of economy? From what to what, actually? So, yeah, time is up. So, how was it? Is it easy? It's very easy, right? It's actually a circular economy from waste to wealth. So, congratulations to Amanita, right? So, it's circular economy from waste to wealth, right? So, next, moving on. What happens if you touch the poisonous mushrooms? Wow, this is very fast. All done already. What happens if you touch the mushrooms? This is very easy, right? So congratulations, Angel Swings also top in the leaderboard. Yeah, touching the mushrooms is actually harmless, right? Bear in mind that. So, next questions. So mushroom toxins can be destroyed by cooking or freezing, true or false? Okay, all done. Also very quick, huh? The answer is false. Okay. Right, next. The last questions. What is the main reason that causes mushroom poisoning? All done. Nice. I think the answer is because of misidentification. They look alike, but they are different. All right? So, next. So let's look at the leaderboard. Yeah, so congratulations to Angel Wing. Who is Angel Wing? Huh? Oh, Angel Wing is there. And then Amanita Asteric. Who's Amanita Asteric? Oh, Lisa, and Jay is Jasmine. Oh, Jay is Jayma. All right, so both three of you will get the prize, and then 5. Let me see. So Angel Wings, Amanita Asteric, Jay Asteric, Shafiq, and also who is this? Confused face. Oh yeah, Crystal. Yeah, so both 5 of you will get the book from us. All right. So you want to give the books now? Yeah. Okay. So with that, we finish the session already, Dr. Lisa. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. I think that was a very fun and engaging session.
Students couldn't make it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. I think Prof. Tan and Dr. Fan has already answered the questions, and we have learned a lot about what mushrooms that we can eat. Okay, the ones that we already know, like the oyster and all, and also the new what we cannot eat, the amanita, angel wing and all, right? Do I get that correct? Okay. All right. Without further ado, I would like to thank you, to open the floor again for any other questions, and then we can finish the first session. All right, okay. Dr. Fan and Dr. Prof. Tan wants to open the floor for you to look at the specimen. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I think we're going to start our second session. Our next talk today is titled Esports Exergaming for Youth, right? Let me introduce the speaker for the next session. Dr. Mazia Ahmad Rosli is a medical lecturer from the Department of Physiology, University Malaya. She's an expert on esports exergaming, and her expertise includes serious games and active video games for exercise and sports adaptations. Dr. Mazia is affiliated with numerous serious games associations such as Team Exergamer Malaysia, Games for Change Melbourne, and Serious Games Association Singapore. She has worked with several societies and organizations in running esports exergaming training such as Pusat Latihan Pemulihan dan Perindustrian Bangi, Wheelchair Tennis Malaysia, Gabungan Anak-Anak Palsi Cerebrum, and many more. So I would like to humbly request Dr. Mazia to present her talk.
Thank you so much. I know it's late. It's already 3:30. So I'll try to make this very short and sweet. Very short and sweet, don't worry. All right. So I think action speaks louder than words. So if you want to visit our esports exergaming booth, you can do so at FOM Centrepoint tomorrow. We'll start from around 10 to 1 o'clock. So actually, esports exergaming, if you're wondering what it is actually an active video game. It's actually an active type of video game that requires your active bodily movements for you to play the video game. And the exercise recommendations that the World Health Organization recommends is that you perform at least 175 to 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity exercise for 2 to 3 times a week. And then you also have the joint motion flexibility and strength training. And sadly, when you look at that, of the 352 people I've surveyed under my research project, only 1% of the participants actually know the recommendations, and those 1% are associated with my research. Either they are my students or they are my staff members. And for the Malaysian population, unfortunately, around 7 to 15% only achieve this recommendation between 7 to 65 years old, which is quite devastating. And I also screened people who have an exercise equipment at home. Only 23% of them have that. And out of those 23%, only 6% of them have an exercise equipment that can actually produce moderate to vigorous intensity exercise, like a treadmill or a stationary bicycle. And unfortunately, out of that 6%, only 6% actually regularly use it as per recommended. So that is the situation about exercise among the Malaysian population right now. Now, even though we are at the midst of COVID-19 endemic, exercising at home is still recommended. I just had my student who actually jogged at a park and came back with COVID-19 positive. So this is the reason why, even though despite we're entering the phase of endemic, I think you should be aware of the long-term complications of COVID infection, which is associated with some autoimmune exacerbations, mental and physical health issues. Like if you're affected with COVID-19 for the first time, it really affects you. You have poor cognition, loss of sensory stimulation, and also there's an increase in diabetes type 1 infection. So why I recommend exercising at home is because contact sports have an increased chance of transmitting COVID-19. And usually when you play sports, because you need oxygen when you're training at a moderate or vigorous intensity, you don't wear mask, and there's no crowd control in public places usually. And also, just a note that mild COVID-19 infections can actually have serious long-term complications. And these are a lot of things that people are not aware of, because they think, oh, we've entered the endemic phase, everything is okay, we can proceed as usual. So Malaysians are getting depressed at home usually is because they don't have opportunity to exercise or improve their physical activity level. And if you know, the higher your physical activity level is, the better your self-care and body image perception, and you're more resilient to mental health issues. You also produce better social relationships and a higher sense of belonging. So in other words, you are more motivated and confident to face the world. And there's also a research that says that you have greater career progress if you exercise regularly and also have a high physical activity level. And also this is something new, which with high physical activity level, you actually have stronger spiritual connection. So it all starts with physical activity level. So why am I going into this despite esports as the gaming is because a lot of youth nowadays, especially millennials and Gen Zs, actually play video games a lot. There is an ongoing trending debate between esports and the traditional sports, and the esports is gaining popularity, whereas the traditional sports have not been gaining popularity. And as opposed to esports, the usual sedentary game, exergaming actually requires you to move a lot. And if those of you who actually tried the exergaming booth at Center Point, you can actually sweat there. So you know it's moderate to vigorous intensity and it's healthy for you. So the equipment's needed, there's two types. So right now we're offering the PlayStation 3 Move. So your sports exergaming. We're offering the tennis, and you also can use the Nintendo Switch. This is of lesser exercise intensity as compared to the PlayStation 3 Move. So all in all, each of these sets usually costs around 1,800 to purchase, which is almost the same price if you were to purchase a treadmill or a stationary bicycle at home. Okay, and the barriers to exercise. So I've already noted that around 15% or less Malaysian population actually exercise. And some of the barriers that they note is that they don't have an exercise equipment at home, no motivation to exercise when done alone. Transport was significantly associated with non-participation to moderate vigorous exercise. So this is related to having to go to the park but you don't have a transport to go there, or the gym, you don't have the transport or the facilities or the parking spots that you need. So the rest are all MCO related mandates during the pandemic. So why Malaysians are not active at home is mainly because of the poor family support. They don't think exercise is necessary for you in your life, so they don't invest a lot on exercise equipment or invest their time to exercise. They also don't have motivation or awareness to be healthy. You need to exercise regularly. So that's one of the main reasons. And for older age, especially for the boomer generation, they feel like advancing age, no need to exercise. I just sit and rest. So that's one of the reasons. You also have structural barriers like expensive equipment, work and responsibilities. Those are some of the emerging notions to why we do not exercise. So I introduced to you the esports exergaming, and it's weather resistant, especially in the Malaysian weather. We get hot and also rainy weather days often. So I can imagine that if a person is planning to exercise at 5 p.m. today, suddenly there's a rain, I'm pretty sure you will cancel your plans, right? So there goes your opportunity to get a dose of your moderate vigorous intensity exercise. But with esports exergaming, you can actually do that at home since it's weather resistance, even in your office. So I have an office with a 64-inch TV where I play my esports gaming. So regardless of the weather, whether it's raining or it's a hot and sunny day, I can play in the comfort of my own office under the air conditioning. Pretty good. So I actually compared boxing, esports gaming, as opposed to the usual punching bag boxing. And most of them feel like it's more enjoyable to actually, all of them, in fact, 100% felt that it's more enjoyable to box using the esports gaming. And it's actually, they felt like it's a preference for home training, and also it's more immersive and challenging. Okay. If you look at the setting of the pictures here, you can actually play with your friends and also have no contact, so there's less chance of you getting COVID, because there's a space efficient VR sports facility to play tennis in a small room, so it's quite space efficient. And also you can ask your friend to stay away from me a bit, because you don't have to have contact sports. You can actually also play with a person who's on a wheelchair, like this picture here, either competitively or cooperatively. So it actually reduces inequalities between a person who's bound to a wheelchair and also a person who's able-bodied. So there's equality there. And there's also an issue of space. The equipment at home that most people usually buy is actually a treadmill. And if you can see here, the space required for a treadmill is actually more than the space required for an exergame unit. And the plus side is that the exergame unit actually can be a 2-in-1 or 3-in-1. It can be your exercise equipment, your entertainment home studio, and also your workplace. So I have one of my participants who stays at a studio apartment, 300 square feet. That is the place where she uses it for her work, because she works at home. And that is also the place where she relaxes and watch movies for entertainment. And that is also the place, the monitor or the TV set that she uses to exercise using esports as a gaming. To her, it's a match made in heaven. Okay, so some of the quantitative findings that we found, that if a person were to bring that esports as a gaming unit at home, and exercise it regularly, so there's no issue of I don't have any transport, there's no facilities, too expensive to go to a gym facility or to participate in a training program, we found that the physical activity level actually increases by 5 times. Now that's a lot. And it's not just under the factor of exercise and recreation. When they are active at home, it also improves their physical literacy and also other areas of physical activities, such as they are more prone to actually clean their house. So that's another physical activity, and it's rigorous housework. They are also more respondent to taking care of another person, like for instance if they have babies. So they are more like willing to work because their physical activity level is actually already increasing. So there's a it's like you get a lot of positives out of simply exercising regularly. And the fitness level, which is what we use as a parameter to assess your fitness using the oxygen consumption, the maximum oxygen consumption, there's actually a 2 to 5-fold increase in their fitness level, and they are more enjoyable, they are more prone to engage and adhere to the training program because it's enjoyable to them. So the training time is actually longer by 3 to 4 times as compared to when I place the esports as a gaming unit at a training center or training facility. The amount of time they train using the esports as a gaming, if it's at home, is actually 3 to 4 times longer. And when you play games like as a gaming, boxing and tennis, the RPE, which is the intensity of the game, is actually moderate to vigorous. So if any of you have tried it, you will know that you are sweating as though you're actually jogging when you try it. So it's a good thing. Okay, so these are the 2 pictures of my top scorers. So you wouldn't see from this, you couldn't tell from these pictures, but they are actually wheelchair bound. So you can see that they have played up to the maximum level. So I've tried it out from able-bodied, even able-bodied couldn't achieve the champion level. So this is a miraculous, something very positive for them. And they have requested to actually fight against able-bodied people because of that, because they're very confident now. So imagine a person on a wheelchair versus a person who's able-bodied can fight equally using the esports as a gaming. So they have requested it, and I'm trying to secure potential players to play against them. So these are my two best players. And also we have the qualitative findings. Okay, they feel motivated and engaged when they play against something like a CPU or play against family members or friends, and it's easy to set up. And there's a lapse of time. They don't feel like they've already played 1 hour of the game, for instance, which is good. Because most of the time, if people are sedentary, you ask them to exercise, 5 seconds, they say, penat. I don't want to do anymore. It's usually the one thing. But if you have esports exagaming, they can go on for 1 hour. I want to win. So they try again and again. And they actually enjoyed playing with someone, especially for wheelchair users. They don't have friends or a lot of opportunity to play against another person or another member. But with exagaming, to them it's easy because they can just play with their friends or family members at home. So there are cons as well, not just everything is positive. Exagaming actually needs a lot of regular downloadable contents or updates to keep people engaged with the game, and also to ascertain some patch or loopholes in the games. And it's actually quite high maintenance because you have to change the battery often. Okay. And there are also concerns with gameplay time from their spouses or family members because they tend to play or train longer than they feel they should, the spouses. So they feel like this borderline addiction maybe is very, you should probably monitor for a longer time whether this is good for them or not. And I think the most positive thing you can come out of this is that it's interactive, enjoyable, and can be used with people who are wheelchair bound and able-bodied equally. Okay. And some limitations that family members have to take turns when using the TV. So they, I have participants who actually fight. Okay, I want to watch this drama at 8 p.m. Stop playing. No, I want to win this boss fight first. So we have that. And equipment breaking down halfway through the training program, so they lost all the data. They have to start again. No TV sets. This is mainly for B40 people. And also, if you don't secure the Move controllers safely on your wrist, it will fly and end up landing on your TV and cracking it. I do not provide any expendable TV for that. I'm sorry. Okay, so why I promote home-based exagaming is because some people too old to exercise, no transport, no time, and clash with other activities lah. Okay, so these are the pictures of people training at Center Base. This is taken recently this week during the FLM Research Week. So if you try out the exagame, you can win a trophy if you beat the boss. So you can see children who actually have cerebral palsy can actually also play, and also who are wheelchair bound. And there's no segregation between men and women, so they can play equally. So, women power. Alright, so portability at home, you can actually bring it at home, even if you're a high jet flying, traveling junkie, you can actually bring it anywhere with you. So you can just install it to a TV. If you're at hotels, you can exercise even at your own room in the hotel. Okay, so my exagaming objectives actually aligned with the social development goals. Main one is I want to reduce inequalities between people who have disabilities and people who do not, who are normal people, and improve access to information because, like I said, only 1% know about the recommended guidelines to exercise, and also provide an alternative for exercise to improve their good health and well-being. So at the end of the day, I want to inculcate peace, justice, and strong institutions between all relevant players or institutions between universities and also societies and organizations. That's it. Questions? I told you it will be brief, so it's like 12 minutes. Thank you. Yes, okay.
I really like it. I tried.
Yep. Thank you.
There are lots of status at the moment.
Because the applications are all available in the market already, I'm just applying it based on to my research. So I do not have the intellectual property to market it because it's the copyright is under Sony PlayStation. Yes, I did not develop it. Yeah. Yep. It's also by them. I did not develop it. Yep.
Okay, so
Fortunately.
you adopt it and
Yes.
give it to. Oh, right,
Yeah.
right, okay. Wow, okay. So how do you see this thing bringing forward?
Similar to the usual sedentary esports. So I would like to bring it forward as a form of esports as a gaming that can counter traditional type of sports, like as opposed to the usual tennis. We don't have a lot of tennis players in Malaysia, so we can introduce esports as a gaming, tennis as an alternative, and we will not say no to. Yeah. And we will not say no to a person who has a disability. You can come and join us, and there's no males only sports, because I think it's quite males only sports is quite dominant in Malaysia. You can call futsal, football, only males can join, which is unfair. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So the only thing that I think we need to move forward with this is to get sponsors to have to sponsor cash prizes, because once there's cash prizes, then everybody will come flocking in. It's the similar to esports. Yep.
PS3 as your forward. Going forward.
Okay, so I think it's a huge loss for Sony for not producing or progressing this further. Unfortunately, PS3 was one of the last platforms that can actually produce the esports sector gaming. PS4 and PS5 are more centered on VR technology and more on shooting games. So that's why I don't introduce that. And it's a huge loss for the community who actually play esports as a gaming. Main reason why they don't move forward to it is because they lost the battle to their main competitor, which is the Nintendo Switch. So they're not making money out of this. Yeah. So if we can get sponsors to actually host large scale events for esports as a gaming tournaments, probably the popularity will actually boom, and there will be a lot of money pouring in for this technology. The other thing is because the Olympic Committee do not consider esports as a gaming as sports that should be added into the Olympic Games, which is they had like 53 pages of reasoning why or justification why they shouldn't add it, which I think is nonsense lah.
Because now
Yes. Yep.
gaming as well.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. So probably we'll start first with Sukma and then SEA Games, then slowly. Yep.
And
So the main reason why I decided to use Sony PlayStation 3 instead of the Nintendo Wii or Nintendo Switch or the Xbox Kinect is because Xbox Kinect and Nintendo Wii cannot produce moderate vigorous intensity. The sensors are not accurate enough to actually read the body movements and produce intensity that is required for exercise that recommended. So that's the main reason. It's much lower, significantly lower. Like if you play boxing in a Sony PlayStation platform, you can get at least metabolic equivalent of task, which is the notion that we use to determine intensity. You can get actually to 6, but for boxing, in the most for Nintendo Wii is you can get like 3.2 or something like that. So it's difficult to get to that intensity level. So that's why I don't use it. And it's not serious enough for gamers the hardcore gamers. So them it's like child's play lah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mazia. I think everybody agreed that's a very engaging topic. And it also brings us to understand that there are niche that can be discovered, especially for the newer generation. So, like researchers like Dr. Mazia bring in new aspects of research and engage in the community. Um, with this, I think we can end our 7th session of the FOM Research Carnival. Please, during your free time, do visit the FOM Research Carnival booth at the Center Point. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mazia.
Test, test. Hello, 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 hello. Test, mic. Test, mic. 1, test.